Welcome back to another video, guys. So in today's video we're going to be doing a singles battle. I wanted to play with my shiny Gardevoir since I have been hunting this thing for years and I wanted to finally use it competitively. So I built a team centered around her. I'm going to lead off with looking at my opponent's team, the Kingambit. My Kingambit's a little bit unique since it has Stealth Rock, and looking at that Volcarona, and it looks like he may have a Focus Sasher in there somewhere. I wanted to kind of break the sash and kind of whittle down that Volcarona. Usually Volcaronas run the heavy-duty boots, but at times you get lucky and they don't. So I'd love to take out at least half of HP of that thing. So I'm going to go ahead and lead off with using the Stealth Rock here, since I have a pretty good opening with Kingambit against the Poltegeist. And he goes ahead and immediately sets up. Now, looking at the Poltegeist not activating White Herb, this tells me this is the Focus Sasher. So I wanted to go ahead and stay here and Sucker Punch the Poltegeist with my Kingambit, since now it's at, I think, -1 defense is what Shell Smash does, or -2, whatever the case is. It's definitely going to take it down in range to where it'll activate the sash, and I can just pick it off with a priority move from one of my teams. So he's going to immediately terrestrialize here, which is really neat for me, so that way I don't have to anticipate that throughout the entire match. He went ahead and threw that away effectively, and he's going to get hit here with the Sucker Punch. So that'll bring him in range, and he's going to take me out with a nice Fire Tire Blast here in one shot. After the Kingambit falls, now that I've set up the Stealth Rocks, he's still with us in spirit, and it's actually going to come in clutch because of the fact that it does whittle down all his switch-ins, and it really kind of creates this restriction of him swapping in and out, and gives me that momentum for that chip damage to pick off with. I have quite a few priority moves on these teams. So I'm going to go ahead and lead in with the Conkeldurr. Looking at the opponent's team, I feel like the Conkeldurr is definitely the best switch in. He has 3 Mons that are pretty weak to it, and the moveset I'm running on it. Having it hold a punching glove so that way it can protect from any type of status inflictions like Flame Body, for example, on the Volcarona, and it boosts up all his punching moves. So I go ahead and I also have Iron Fist on it too, so he gets that double boost from the punching glove and the Iron Fist. So with this Fortress, I know Fortress usually runs Rapid Spin, Spike, Stealth Rocks, and it's kind of annoying. And looking at my opponent's team and considering the already activated the Terra, I felt pretty safe going for my Terra here and getting maximum damage. This thing is pretty bulky, and it does just take normal damage. It's not super effective, even though it's a Steel type, because of the fact that it's Bug resist, Steel super effective. So it does do neutral damage. I wanted to get as much possible off, and I got that thing down to less than half, which is pretty nice. But with Iron Defense, I know it can't take it out. I just wanted to see how strong my Conkeldurr was and went for a Drain Punch once more. I know that it can take at least 1 body press if that's what this thing is running, which, looking at the Iron Defense build, that's most likely what it is. And he does take me down less than half. So at this point, now that with the leftovers recovery, I know another Drain Punch can't take this thing out. And I know he's probably going to want a Rapid Spin. So I wanted to switch into the Hisuian Zoroark to prevent him from getting rid of my rocks, as well as hitting him with a special move, since he's now physically defensive and he is within range for a Bitter Malice to take him out. So he does end up going for the Rapid Spin, and I got the prediction there correct. So I'm able to keep my rocks, and I'm able to go ahead and hit him with a free move. Now, I predicted that he'd switch out to the Roaring Moon on this turn, and with that, I figured it's okay. I'd rather get the damage off, considering Bitter Malice can lower the attack. But he ends up going for the Protect and getting a little bit more recovery, and now does the swap. And he swaps into Tyranitar. So I don't know why I didn't anticipate Tyranitar either, but either way, he does swap in and sets up the Sandstorm, which is going to break my sash now, since I went ahead and used Bitter Malice yet again. For some reason, thinking that the Fortress is going to want to stay, maybe Gyro Ball me, I'm not sure. But either way, Tyranitar is going to take a little chip there, and his attack stat is going to go down. And I'm going to take some chip damage from the Sandstorm, and my Focus Sash will break. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pivot with U-Turn. I'm running a wall-breaking Zoroark, and I believe the nature I have is reducing defense nature, increasing his special attack nature. So that way I can use Knockoff and Shadow Sneak, U-Turn, and kind of just use it, well, not Knockoff, but U-Turn, Shadow Sneak, Bitter Malice, and Hyper Voice, and kind of get that additional damage off using those pivot moves or that priority move. So at this point, I switch into the Conkeldurr, anticipating that he's going to go for an attack to try and take me out. Even at -1, he definitely could pick off the Zoroark. He's, like I said, he's minus defense, so he'd definitely get one shot. But considering he got the attack drop with Bitter Malice, that was pretty clutch, and I think that was needed for me to be able to resist this attack. even though foul play goes based off my attack, and that's what the damage calculation is, I do believe it takes into consideration the physical attack stat of the user as well. So I'm able to pick this thing off with a Mach Punch here, and I was debating on going for the Drain Punch to get some additional heals off, but considering the mons that are remaining and the HP that's remaining on them, I figured my Gardevoir would be a great asset to take out the Garchomp and the Roaring Moon, since I am Choice Scarfed. So I opt in to stay in with the Conkeldurr, use the Mach Punch, take out the Tyranitar, and now he brings in the Fortress, which gets knocked out to the Drain Punch. So I get some recovery here, and the Sandstorm won't take me out. I was honestly thinking that he was going to Protect and then try and hit me with the Protect to whittle me down with the Sandstorm, but luckily he didn't. So at this point he brings in Volcarona, and Volcarona is an extremely scary Pokemon once it's set up. So at this point I'm thinking, all right, this guy either is going to pick me off or he's going to try to set up, and I really don't care either way what happens. I would prefer a free switch in than him getting a free setup or me taking damage. So I do let the Conkeldurr go down here and went for the knockoff, potentially anticipating him trying to set up. And I will now switch into Whirlpool, the Rotom here. So I'm not sure if this thing carries Giga Drain, because Volcarona can definitely learn Giga Drain, but it not being a Grass Terra and it not having its setup, I know I can resist at least one Giga Drain, and I can hit it with a Hydro Pump in return for some extra damage. But he does opt in for the switch. The Hydro Pump does connect and hit the Roaring Moon, which does a little chip damage here, pretty nice chip damage. And at this point, I really don't want the Roaring Moon to hit my Rotom, since it is my only check against that Volcarona. So I opt in to sack off the Hisuian Zoroark. At this point, he really can't do much else. I could utilize him for the Shadow Sneak stab on the Volcarona, but I have Dragonite, who is a physical attacker with extreme speed, and I feel like I would prefer to preserve its multi-scale ability to potentially live an attack from one of these dragon types and activate weakness policy. So I do opt in to sack off the Zoroark, and now I have a free switch in to my Gardevoir. So at this point, what I want to do with the Gardevoir is hit it with the Moonblast now. I anticipate the Volcarona is going to come in, since it resists Moonblast ×4, where this is ×4 weak to Moonblast, so it's the obvious switch in. But what I wanted to try and do is potentially get the special attack drop, and I know Gardevoir is a pretty hard-hitting special attacker, and with Volcarona not having Quiver Dance, I felt as though it'd be a smart decision to just kind of whittle this thing down and get it into range for extreme speed to knock it out. So that is what I opt in doing. It's unfortunate that my Gardevoir will end up going down here and not really get to do much aside from really getting this thing in range to be taken out, but nevertheless, at least she had some time on the spotlight. So she is going to go ahead and take me out here. A +1 Volcarona is faster than my Gardevoir with a Choice Scarf, or I think it may be a speed tie, depending on the investment that they have, but she does go ahead and take me out here, and now I have that free switch into the Baby Dragon, the Dragonite, and go for the extreme speed. And even Baby Dragon, because it reminds me of that Baby Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't know what that is, you Google it. It looks literally identical. But anywho, extreme speed will take out the Volcarona. This thing is extremely fragile when it comes to physical defense. So extreme speed will take this thing out. And now comes in the Garchomp. So the Garchomp here is pretty scary, because if it's banded, it could potentially OHKO me with an Outrage. But typically, people don't run the banded Garchomp, since he's not relatively that fast. They usually will run either the Rocky Helmet with the Rough Skin, or they'll run him with a Choice Scarf so that he can try and outspeed something. So I am pretty confident that I can survive with full HP, multi-scale, resisting the Outrage, which he does end up using, and I end up getting that nice +2 increase. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Ice Spinner, which is 4 times weak 2, and ends up taking this thing out. And now all that's left is the Roaring Moon. So at this point, after the Stealth Rock's chip damage that he takes from switching in, extreme speed will take this thing out, and that is GG's. So that was an awesome match, pretty fun. I just kind of wanted to use Pokemon that I really liked, or kind of like one of my favorites, and it was a really fun match. So thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye.